Alright, so today a YouTuber asked for criticism, and I'm just gonna give my takes. So let's get into it. So there's this guy called Hamza on YouTube, and he's a self-improvement channel. He has a bigger channel than me. I'm not really gonna introduce this guy. He gives advice, basically. And okay, here are my criticisms with his advice. Alright, so the first step is misogyny. Yeah. I think this guy is misogynistic to some extent. Here's an example.
As things are getting heated, she just kind of opens up and then tells me that she's never had sex before, which it's just one certain feeling that I've had when a girl tells you that she's a virgin and you're like, I've never had this before, so maybe this is a sense of my own development or mindfulness or something, but it was honor.
Honor.
Bruh.
Honor. Really? Honor? That doesn't sound a little bit, like, weird to you? I mean, come on. What are they? Are they conquests or humans? What's going on? And another general theme in this guy's videos and content is that going to the clubs and doing all the casual sex, that's degen stuff, right? That's bad. And this guy used to do it, and now he's a changed man. He's ready to be a good dad and all that shit. And so my question is, if this man can change, right? If Hamza can do all this club shit and still be a good man nowadays, or consider himself to be a good man nowadays, why can't women change like that in the same way? Why is it that a woman's sexual past matters, but yours doesn't? Or at least it doesn't matter as much. It's just you changed, you acknowledge that you have changed, and you're working to get better. And so why can't women get this opportunity as well? Why is it that once they do it, it's a permanent record kind of deal? Alright, now my next qualm. Yeah. Mostly with these self-improvement guys who start cults and things like that. Yep, this guy, he claims to be a cult leader. Yeah, and the thing with these cult mentality is, these gurus, these cult leaders, all these people, they see in black and white. Red pill, black pill, or black pill, blue pill. There are only two outcomes to everything. It's a dichotomy, and you're either with us or against us. In this Hamza guy's case, in his cult, you have the Jeffries, who are like the bad people who don't exercise, who are fat, who go to clubs and smoke and all that kind of stuff. And the Adonis is like the good side, basically. And it's just that when you watch this guy's videos, he has absolutely no balance in his advice. There's no context to the action. There's no context to the thing or whatever he is criticizing. Playing video games is Jeffrey shit. Basically, that means it's just bad shit, right? No context, no layers, no Shrek. You feel me? And again, my criticism of this guy is he doesn't seem to dig deep into anything. He'll just go one layer, and then he'll go one layer deeper. He'll say, oh, video games are addictive. That's it. And now, okay, I don't mean to bring this up because I hate the ivory towers myself, but when you listen to this guy speak, you can tell he doesn't have many critical thinking skills. It's just the surface and the layer below that, and then boom, the conclusion is set. You know, this guy is the kind of guy who'll think Jordan Peterson is some super smart guy. And to some extent, you know, maybe Jordan Peterson is a bit smart. But again, my criticism of these academics like Jordan Peterson and these self-improvement people is that they will look at a fact and then they'll immediately draw a conclusion. They won't really think too much about it, right? Jordan Peterson, clean your room. Shallow advice, doesn't take things into context, and all that shit. This guy, all self-improvement channels, Jordan Peterson, this guy, and all the other ones. They say things like, you should get your house in order, take personal accountability, everything is on you. And that is a good message to sell, but at the same time, as Slavoj Zizek said, I don't actually know how to pronounce that, but as that guy said in a debate with Jordan Peterson, why can't someone get their house in order while changing society? There is a bigger picture to all this. People like Jordan Peterson and this Hamza guy seem to criticize only the human instead of really taking into account the factors that make the human the way they are, right? There are layers to Jeffries and what they do. They're not just Jeffries. They are people. And I think you bring them up sometimes, the reasons of why people do this. You talk about addiction and stuff on your channel. But this Hamza guy, okay, I'm talking in second person. I don't think he's going to watch this. But this Hamza guy, he doesn't seem to go anywhere deeper. And yeah, certain things are just bad to you, to this Hamza guy, right? Video games, bad. Don't do that. Eating junk food, bad. Don't do that. Going to clubs, bad. Hooking up with people, bad. And meditating and living a healthy life, that is good, right? Quote unquote degen stuff and living a healthy life are not mutually exclusive. Alright, that's my next criticism. Yeah. Why can't people go to clubs and meditate? Why are they mutually exclusive? If this is how people want to enjoy, why can't they enjoy like this? In my older video, I comment on how if people want to have fun a certain way, they should be able to have fun that certain way. They shouldn't have to be judged for it. And that's essentially what this guy is doing. Alright, now my next point. Yeah. Evolutionary psychology for everything. Remember earlier how I said this guy doesn't really appreciate the layers of socioeconomic norms and things like that? They just look at one layer and another layer and they just make a conclusion. This is why this is the way it is. Done. Right? I've heard this argument for many things, especially when it comes to relationships and dating preferences. The man is supposed to be bigger than the woman because of evolutionary psychology. Women are programmed to find big dudes and shit with resources more attractive than little cocks like me. And I am beautiful, no matter what they say. And okay, even if this is true, it doesn't really matter because social influence overrides virtually everything evolutionary psychology related. Humans are not evolved to go to the gym. Humans are not evolved to eat healthy food. We are evolved to eat foods with a high caloric density because 10,000 years ago, calories were hard to find. And so we were naturally selected to release dopamine when we ate high calorie dense foods. This Hamza guy on his channel says we should not eat junk food and we should go to the gym and exercise. These two things are against evolutionary psychology and evolution in general. Okay? The nature and the way things are supposed to be is not really a good way to analyze complex socioeconomic norms. Fast food industries make trillions by exploiting our evolutionary nature. And again, like I said, social norms are very complex, especially regarding relationships and things like that. And saying it's just evolutionary psychology, bro, is virtually ignorant. Coming up with some rudimentary definition of 10,000 years ago, this is how humans behaved, and so nowadays this is why we have certain preferences. It is kind of true, I'll admit that, but at the same time, it ignores a lot of social conditioning that goes into these things. We are animals, I'll admit that, but at the same time, we aren't animals. There are a lot more layers to humans. You know what I mean? Women aren't lab rats that will just f the physically strongest male because of Evo psych. It's a lot deeper than that, and that's not how humans work. Again, it comes back to this thing of the layers. Alright, now I got another point. On this guy's channel, he talks a lot about trauma. Yeah! And based off of the advice he gives, you can tell that that advice comes from a space of trauma. And the reason I have a problem with this is because when advice comes from a space of trauma and past mistakes, one tends to be very reductive in the advice they give. They ignore the layers because they have made this mistake in the past and they are scared that you will make this mistake. And they do not understand that you can have a healthy relationship with the things they used to abuse. So an alcoholic is going to tell you to never drink alcohol because they cannot maintain a healthy relationship with alcohol, and so they will think it's impossible for you to maintain a healthy relationship with alcohol. This guy does the same thing with going to clubs and partying and having casual sex partners. It impacted him in a negative way, and so he thinks it's going to impact everyone in a negative way, and so it is impossible to do these things and still live a healthy life. Because this was something, I imagine, he talks about it in his videos, I imagine that doing this casual sex, this club shit, is something that hurt him or negatively affected him. And so he thinks it's impossible to have a relationship with them. And in the end, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. You just need to be like Shrek. Just understand that we are all onions. The world is a fucking onion. There are layers to everything. We as humans like to come to conclusions. We like to label things as bad or good, black or white. Right? Because it's very easy. It's very quick and we don't really need to think and break down our own biases and notions and shit like that. I understand that a few of my criticisms might be a little misplaced and wrong. There are many things that I myself don't explain fully in this video, especially when it comes to evolutionary psychology. That is a fucking huge can of worms that I cannot break down in a paragraph. I'll be honest here. I generally think channels like Hamza's and all that are useful and they provide a reasonable level of guidance, especially to young men. I am only criticizing the things I brought up in this video. I am not talking about his character or criticizing that in any way. I don't know this guy, I don't know who he is, and I don't know his personal life. And I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about the advice he gives and the way he gives it. That's it. No hate to this guy or anything. And yeah, I speak to him as if he's watching this video sometimes. You're probably not watching this video. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I got more chromosomes than subscribers, so if you are, thank you. But yeah, whoever is watching, thank you for your time. And don't be a Jeffrey, because it's bad, I guess. Oh, and we gotta end it the classic way. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it.